Hi everyone, I'm here at Crabtree Nature Center in Barrington, and I'm going to use a few minutes in this video to talk to you about this week's lab, which is our ecosystem lab. So hopefully you have gone through the materials this week and you learned that an ecosystem is a defined area where we have, sorry, it's very windy out here today, a defined area where we have a group of living things that are interacting with each other, and they're also interacting with their non-living environment. So in our area, in the greater Chicago area, we have all kinds of examples of both what we're going to call natural or native ecosystems, and also some ecosystems that have been more human or man-created. So here at Crabtree, for example, we have great examples of a forest ecosystem, a prairie ecosystem, and there's even some aquatic ecosystems like wetlands and ponds here. In other parts of our area, we also have what are referred to as urban ecosystems. So these are places where we still have living things, right? We have plants, we have animals, we have humans, but these are in places that have been created by humans. So you can think of cities and even the suburbs, our neighborhoods, all of those are examples of urban ecosystems. So this week for lab, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to go somewhere. If you can come to a nature center or a forest preserve or a local park, that would be great. If you can only manage to go into your own backyard or your neighborhood, that's fine as well. And what I want you to do is I want you to spend 15 or 20 minutes outside. And I know in the winter that might be asking a lot. So look at the weather this week and try to find a day, if possible, where the temperatures aren't too brisk. And when you do go out, please do bundle up. And what I want you to do is I want you to go outside and just look around you and try to come up with a list of the things, the living things that are in your ecosystem. So this would be the plants and this would be the animals. So right now I am looking out over a snow-covered pond here at Crabtree. You can sort of see the forested area in the background there, so that would be another ecosystem. And then as I move here off to my left, you can see what's left of our prairie ecosystem. Now, it doesn't look like much in the winter, right? So almost all plants have gone dormant this winter. So the trees had lost their leaves, and the non-woody plants, what we call the herbaceous plants, are essentially just alive underground, right? Their root systems are intact, and they'll be ready to send up new shoots in the spring. So winter is not always the easiest time to identify living things in nature, right? You're going to go outside and you're going to say, oh, look, it's a tree. And that tree looks like that tree, and that one looks like that one, even though they very well are probably different types of trees. Same thing with the plants. So what you can do in that case is you can use some type of reference material. So you might want to use like Google, for example, and you can put Illinois trees in, or even trees in Chicago, and it'll come up and give you a list of some things to look at. I also would recommend things for animals, for example. Just kind of look around and stand still and listen. You'd be surprised what you can find, and usually in the winter you're going to hear things first before you see them. You would be surprised at what you might find that's still out. We have a fair number of birds who make their home here all year round. We also have a fair number of mammals also that are here. If you like to investigate things, you can even look in snow. So we've had some snows recently. We're expected to have some more snows as the days continue. If you want to do some animal track identification, this would be a good time to do it. You can snap some pictures of the tracks you might see in the snow, and you can again do a Google search and see what you can find online. Mostly what I'm seeing from a track perspective here right now is it looks like some deer that have crossed here on the pond. I don't see a whole lot else. The snow is a few days old, so it might be that some of those tracks are covered up. You can also, of course, there are probably animals that live here even though you don't see them and you don't see their tracks. So I see deer tracks, but I know we have deer in the area. I can write that down. I didn't see the deer, but I know they're here. Same thing with other animals. You could write down coyotes and skunks and all of those types of things. You know they're here, even if you don't see them. So again, the idea behind the lab is just to go out, spend some time in nature. Even in the winter, you'll be surprised at what you can find. If you are able to come to a nature preserve or a nature center or forest preserve locally, some of them may have set up something like this. So I'm here at Crabtree, and what we have here by the Visitors Center is they have some bird feeders. And the bird feeders are very popular with birds in the winter, especially since there are very few natural sources of food for the birds. And so what you'll see here is that if you do want to see some winter wildlife, bird feeders are a great place to set up. So in the 30 or so seconds that I have been filming here, I've seen at least 4 or 5 different types of birds, including things like sparrows and nuthatches and chickadees. There was a woodpecker. There's been a couple of squirrels on the ground. So if you really do want to get out and actually see some winter birds, I highly recommend finding a place, even if it's in your own backyard, hang out at your bird feeder. That's a great place to see wildlife in the winter. If you do happen to come to Crabtree, one of the unique things they do have here are they have some winter residents. Actually, these are year-round residents here. They have several birds of prey here outside the Nature Center on display. So if you actually wanted to see some of these beautiful birds, and again, I apologize because through the bars of these enclosures, they're a little bit difficult to see, but this fellow here is a great horned owl, and you can see where he gets his name because of the tufted feathers that make it look like he has sort of ears sticking off of his head. Next to him, we have what is called a barred owl. So the barred owl has a much more rounded face. And again, he's kind of being backlit by the sun right now, so he's not quite as easy to see. But he is another resident of Illinois year-round. And then last but not least, our final bird of prey over here is our hawk. This is a red-tailed hawk, and let me see if I can get maybe a better view of him. Give me just a moment. There he is. At least there's the bottom of him. There he is. There's our red-tailed hawk. So he is one of our winter residents as well. So if you are interested in seeing these birds up close, I would highly recommend heading on over here to Crabtree, but you can also just count them in your animal count if you would like as well, because they are residents in our area.